the Skibly and Zoete Omnes grammar lesson for today. Let's get on into it. And before we do so, check me out on Latin and Layman, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find me. This boy does a podcast and does all these things in a longer format so that I can circumnavigate this whole TikTok thing, because I tend to make all ramble bambles all the time. But you know what? Not making those longer videos, not putting that amount of effort into TikTok, because I don't put stock in talk, because TikTok is vain and superficial and puts all of the emphasis on the image. And I am, well, it's cool to look good and feel good and present yourself well, but it's also about the knowledge, because remember what I used to say, you guys? Looks fade, but dumb is forever. Don't be a dummy dumb in this world. And if you're a dummy dumb, try and get a little bit smarter. You can always learn a little bit more. And you can learn a little bit more here. I never think about actually doing this because I feel like people just already know these things, but maybe you don't. And maybe you're about to learn something new. There, there, and there. Now, all of them sound the same. There. How do we call them? You guys called them something very similar. I call them homonyms, but you guys call them something different, but same thing in this case. Names that are the same, but they have different meanings in general. So we're going to get into these. There, and I could be entirely wrong about the homonym thing. At me if you want to. There is locative. It explains location. There, over there, aka there are stars in the sky, for instance, indicating a lot of the time it could be they are, as well as because it could be in reference to a third person singular active indicative verb to be. So it could be there are or they are, but in this case it's more location based, right? There are stars in the sky. Over there, pointing in a direction, having some sort of quality that is indicating a pointing of. Locative, location. However, possessional, there with an EIR, their names are dumb and dumber. Don't be dumb and dumber. Know the difference between there, and there, so that I don't call you a dummy. Because I will if you don't know the difference between these. And I will throw shade. Because if you don't know these things in our day and age, and you don't think it's necessary, then you don't think that commanding your language and sounding eloquent and sounding, well, logical, sounding, I don't know, people just take you more seriously when you know how to convey yourself in a confident way and use words and manipulate them, curtail them to not only appease to a higher audience, but also to be able to bro down, to, you know, talk with your homie G's and whatnot, and not have to say all the fancy dancy terminology that they would just make fun of you for. But you can entertain that fancy dancy terminology with other higher falutin individuals that would entertain that stuff. Last one though here, again, more so the verb to be, they are. It's an elided case here. There is just they are. And in this case, the verb to be, because they is third person plural, are is the present active indicative form of to be. Is, am, are. They're my friends, aka you guys. So if you didn't know, now you know. Hope you learned something new. And tempus est discedere.